Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first annual Primetime Crisis Awards. I'm Captain Logan, and tonight we're going to count down our favorites and your favorites of pop culture from last year, including television, movies, comics, and video games, both superhero and non-superhero stuff. It's going to be really fun. We have gotten quite a few votes for the audience poll, and it's going to be really interesting to see what everybody said over what the panel said. I'll tell you guys right now, there are a lot of really different responses. I mean, like, well, okay, there's two different responses, but they vary widely. I want to say hello to everybody watching live. Thanks so much for being here. And as most of you are aware, I'm sure, we do this live show here at 8 o'clock Central Time every Sunday night. Usually, we're doing Primetime Crisis Live, talking about superhero and comic book shows for the previous week. Today, we decided to preempt that with ourselves and talk instead about movies and comics and games and TV from last year. We'll be back next week for the regular show. At the regular time, we'll be talking about the first 3 episodes, then, I think, of Agent Carter, which just premiered this week, and we'll be talking about Steven Universe and anything else that happens to start by then. Let's go ahead and introduce the Crisis team. First of all, here's Jason. Jason's going to be helping us out tonight, and he's going to be revealing his favorites of things from last year. And he didn't have to go by our list here, so it'll be interesting to see what he said. Look, it's Dan Torrey!
Hey, everybody.
And the Real Manos.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you!
The Curious Low.
Hi, guys.
The magnanimous Steve Baxi.
Hello, everybody.
The delayed Steve Baxi. And finally, our official chat moderator, Jackson Rasco.
Aloha.
Rasco, as usual, please just keep watching the chat and feel free to point out any amusing things people happen to say or questions people ask. We'll do a little forum at the end like we usually do and answer some questions from any news and stuff that's come out the last few weeks, because I've been on hiatus and we haven't been around. So folks might have things they'd like us to talk about right at the end, assuming that this doesn't take a full hour, and I really doubt that it will. So anyway, so let's first of all, let's just check in with folks, because it's been a little while. Manos, how have you been, sir? You just finally got a new computer, and we're able to see you again. That's why Manos wasn't here last time. His computer conked out on him, and he's back. And how have you been, Manos?
I've been okay. Yeah, it was as usual a festive and stressful and such on Christmas. A weird couple weeks without a computer. Frankly, it felt like it was '94 again, and I occasionally would have to I occasionally would do like updates and emails and stuff like that, all the necessary stuff on Lindsay's computer. But boy, I don't think I want to live without a computer anymore, ever again in my life. But thanks for all your support, guys. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, sure, man. No problem. Curious Low, how was your holiday?
Good. I worked a lot. Seahawks won their game today, so you know me. That makes me super excited.
That was great. Can you believe they missed that kick? That was fantastic.
I was like, we're done. Seahawks are done. And then they missed the kick, and it was brilliant. Anyways, sports, woo, on this geek TV show.
Boy, this is a first for us, folks. We gotta be careful. We got Manos and Low watching the same football games.
That's right. Not all geeks avoid sports. Some of us love them.
We're here to subvert stereotypes. That's what Geekvolution is all about. Dan, how was your Christmas, sir?
It was very good. I spent time with my family. I caught up on a lot of video game playing, stuff that I got for Christmas, stuff that I hadn't got around to playing because school and work had been really hectic. And just this morning, I went to go see Force Awakens again in IMAX 3D. So I had a good day even today. It's been fantastic.
Cool. How have things been for you, Steve?
Good, relaxing. Christmas, I was just home with family. Just had dinner with a friend that got back from Germany, and then had dinner with a friend that I haven't seen since middle school. So mostly just that kind of stuff. I've been reading a lot. I've been meaning to catch up on my aesthetic studies and stuff like that. So that's about it.
Yeah, exciting!
Studying!
How are things going for you, Rasco?
Pretty good. So, pretty much I've just been off of school for the past few weeks, but actually now I'm back in school. So, other than that, just kind of saw family, traveled down to Tennessee for like a day or so, saw some family down there, and I saw a bunch of movies too. Like I've seen Star Wars. I've seen Star Wars I think 6 or 7 times, and I've seen The Revenant, and I saw The Hateful Eight, and I saw Hateful Eight on New Year's, so it was both the first movie, or it was both the last movie of 2015 and the first movie of 2016 that I watched. So it was pretty cool.
Did you like The Revenant as much as Curious Low and I did?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but I've actually talked with Steve about this. I had like a problem with it that I keep wrestling back and forth on. I don't really know quite how I am gonna come down on it, but overall, it's definitely a well-made movie. It was certainly not painful to watch at all. It was really immersive.
Oh, I thought it was painful in the way it was intended.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, it was a good film. Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio might actually finally get that Oscar. I don't know.
I doubt he'll get nominated. I think he should. But
Yeah.
when it was released, everyone will have forgotten about that by April.
Yeah.
Or March.
I thought the Academy were robots that didn't forget things, though.
No, Dan, you're confusing them with elephants. They don't have that. Well, all right, so good to catch up with everybody, and nice to see that a whole bunch of people, while we were talking about Christmas and mundane things like that, haven't left. I designed that on purpose because if people haven't run away now, they probably won't when they find out about the things that we voted for that they're not happy with. Maybe
Brilliant.
stick around. So anyway, let's go ahead and get straight into the awards, shall we? We all, just in case people are curious as to how we did this, because there's been a little bit of talk that like we all got together and like conspired to put together things. That's not how we nominate things here. What we did was each of us, of course, nominated some things in each category. We each nominated 3 things, and for some things, there will be some lopsidedness because for some things, people just had not consumed enough. Some things people didn't do at all. Manos didn't vote at all in the video game category. Low didn't vote there either, and not for all comics. So there's some things that just not the entire panel voted for, and that will create consensus issues when we get into those 2 categories. But anyway, what we do is we each nominate something, and then each nominee or nomination, depending on where it falls, gets a certain number of points. And so I simply count up the points, and the top 5 or 6, depending on how the numbers go, so we don't have too many or too few, get nominated. Get in the categories, and everything else is chopped off, and the one with the most points is the one that wins. That's how we do it. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I should also mention that the audience poll, we had 265 people vote, so quite a good sample set there, and thanks a lot everybody for voting. We sure appreciate it, everybody that did that. If you didn't get a chance to do that, I've already taken, well, in fact, I'll refresh this one more time and see if anybody else has voted. No, they haven't. So hopefully everything's counted, and everything that we're going to count is counted now. So that's the last time I'll refresh that page. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Here we go. We're going to begin with television because there's a part of me that feels like we should wait on. What do you guys think? Should we start with TV or leave TV to the end since this is Primetime Crisis?
Maybe we should start with video games and go up.
Work our way backwards. That's an excellent idea, man.
I like that idea.
Manos, I like the way you think, sir.
Thank you. I'm glad you like the cut of my jib.
The cut of your jib. See, I'm flexible. Not physically, just mentally flexible. All right, we begin with the video game category, and as I said, there's a little bit of lack of consensus in this category because Dan and I and Steve were the only people that voted here, and we don't all play the same stuff. So I'll tell you right now, the best Nintendo game, I'll just knock this out, it was a tie because one of us played Super Mario Maker, the other one of us played Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D, and the other one of us didn't play either.
And you can probably guess who those people were.
yeah, precisely. So anyway, that's how that worked. So starting there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys how the audience voted. I'll tell you how we voted, and then I'll tell you what Jason's pick was, and we'll also find out what Rasco's pick was too, because Rasco wasn't part of the judges panel, but he did vote here. But people might be interested to know what he said too. So starting with Nintendo games, Rasco, did you play any Nintendo games last year?
No, not that I can think of. No, I don't think so.
Okay, and Jason, what did you pick for Nintendo games?
I picked Super Mario Maker.
That was what we played, and Super Mario Maker swept that category over Majora's Mask 3D for the audience vote with 69% of the vote. And now we go on to a category that someone might care about. We go to Best Shooter. Excuse me. The nominees for Best Shooter were Halo 5 Guardians, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, Rainbow Six Siege, and Star Wars Battlefront. The Best Shooter, according to our audience, by a wide margin, really surprisingly, and get ready to roll your eyes, Steve, was Star Wars Battlefront with almost 70% of the vote. And now, once again, keep in mind that some of this might just be a matter of what people played, because if you think about our audience, we got a lot of Star Wars fans, we got a lot of geeky fans, geeky stuff, and maybe everybody ran out and bought that and didn't happen to buy any of the other three. Rascal, what was your vote in that category?
Mine was for Rainbow Six Siege, and it was really close because I really do like Star Wars Battlefront, but Rainbow Six is just it's a very unique first-person shooter.
Jason,
I guess I'm the only person that played Halo. I like that game a lot. The the story was garbage, but the multiplayer and the gameplay is really good.
No, Dan, I agree. Halo was a lot of fun, but I just still think Siege was the only shooter I played this year that was innovative at all, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I haven't played it.
With Halo, and I felt like I was playing just a mini-game shooter when I was playing Battlefront, but Siege had mechanics I've never seen before.
Yeah.
This is unusual. This would be unusual for us to do for an award show. But would you guys like to know what the breakdown was?
Sure.
For each of these, Rainbow Six got only about 10% of the vote. Wolfenstein got close to 9%, and Halo 5 got 12% of the vote.
Oh wow.
Jason, what did you pick?
I picked Star Wars Battlefront.
Jason's actually been playing Battlefront with me a little bit, which is a lot of fun because I can actually beat him. I mean, it's close, but no. One of the things I've been enjoying about that game is that it's so intuitive. Even a 5-year-old can play it. So that's why I like it, Steve. It's for people that aren't real big FPS people. But since you're calling it mini games. I'm calling it something I can actually play.
It's like Angry Birds.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I'm going to try not to be insulted by that. And we also went with Star Wars Battlefront because we had all played that game, so it got points from most of us. That's how that happened. All right, going on now to Best Action Game. The nominees were Rise of the Tomb Raider, Lego Dimensions, Fallout 4, Mad Max, and Batman Arkham Knight.
Fallout 4's in the action game category? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know how that happened. Somebody nominated it that way. It wasn't me. I haven't played that.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So
anyway, go ahead.
That's silly. Yeah, well, Steve, did you nominate it that way? Steve's not talking to us. All right, Steve's frozen in time. All right. Well, let's find out what the audience said. The audience went with Batman Arkham Knight with approximately 35%. No, excuse me. Okay, this is really surprising, actually. The audience went with Lego Dimensions with 44% of the vote. which is awesome to me because I love that game. But even I didn't give it the max number of points when I voted for that. I nominated that. Arkham Knight got 35% of the vote in second place. Fallout 4, about 11% of the vote. Rise of the Tomb Raider, 10% of the vote, and Mad Max.
Rise of the Tomb Raider, best action game this year. It's so good.
And Mad Max only had just over 1% of the vote. What would you have said in that category, Mr. Rasco?
I would have given it to Arkham Knight. I really meant to play Mad Max, and I didn't get to play Fallout 4 as much as I would have liked to, even though that doesn't really fit in the category very well, I guess. But I'm gonna go with Arkham Knight.
I wonder how that would have fallen if that had wound up in the shooter category, where it probably should have been, or should have been more. Well,
we didn't have a category for it.
We didn't have an RPG category. That's probably how that went up there. Dan and I discussed putting in an RPG category, but I didn't think there were enough of them, or enough of us that had played different ones, so we didn't end up doing that.
If we had an RPG category, it would have just been things I played besides Fallout, probably.
Hopefully Steve joins us here again in a minute. Jason, what did you choose?
I choose Injustice Gods Among Us, the Ultimate Edition.
There you go, on the DLC.
Yeah, Jason went with the Injustice Ultimate Edition, which fits in that category as well as Fallout 4 does. All right, and we chose. I keep getting up to us last and almost like skipping the whole point of this. The panel chose Batman Arkham Knight once again because I think we all gave it points because we all played. Finally, are you okay? Finally, the best overall game. The categories, or the nominees were Rise of the Tomb Raider, Rainbow Six Siege, Super Mario Maker, Fallout 4, and The Witcher 3. And I will tell you right now that we had a three-way tie because the three of us all picked different things. So it was Rainbow Six, Super Mario Maker, and Fallout 4, which basically shows you what each of us played the most this year.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is the best. The Witcher 3 is a phenomenal game, but I just like Fallout a little bit more. And that's the game that's winning Game of the Year on all the major Game Press websites. So.
And incidentally, Dan nominated both of those.
I did, yes.
Oh, there's Steve.
There we go.
There he is.
Kind of shaky.
Steve, are you using a different webcam or your phone or something?
I'm using a different computer because my other one just died on me.
Oh no! What happened?
I have no idea. It's doing a disk repair right now, but I got a backup laptop, so there's that.
Oh well, I'm glad you had something you could use. That's good. You look like you might be in the Phantom Zone, or perhaps you have Vaseline on your lens.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but it just must be a bad webcam.
The best overall game, according to our viewers, was, you'll be surprised by this, Dan, by a wide margin, Rise of the Tomb Raider, with 50% of the vote.
Oh, very good. I'm happy with that choice. I like Fallout more, but Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably my runner-up. It's a phenomenal game.
I'm not sure how it didn't win an action game, except, well, I guess that, no, that makes sense, because my guess then is that if LEGO Dimensions had been nominated for best overall, it would have won over that.
Okay, interesting.
Given how well it did in that other category, that's my guess. The rest of the breakdown there was Fallout 4 got 18% of the vote. Super Mario Maker got slightly more no, I'm sorry. My eyes are tripping out on me. 15% of the vote Super Mario Maker got, and The Witcher 3 got 13% of the vote. And now I'm rounding up. All right, so that's video games. That's how that broke down. Rasco, what would you have called the best game that came out last year?
I'll go Rainbow Six.
Jason, what did you write down?
LEGO Dimensions.
Nice.
All right, we move on now to comics, and you wouldn't think on our channel that comics would be like the third most important thing all of a sudden. But we have been focusing a lot on movies and TV lately on the channel, and comics again was a category that not everybody in the panel had as much to say about, although certainly more so than video games. And Curious Low is reading comics these days, buying current, and frankly reading a lot of stuff from independent companies that I wish I had jumped on board in the first place on.
It's honestly just because I'm so new to it that I just kind of like look at kind of what it's about, and I'm like, that sounds good. Like, I don't know who any of the writers are. I don't know who the artists are, so I just kind of have to blindly leap in there and hope what I pick is good. So far, I've liked pretty much everything that I'm reading. Maybe I'm just easy to impress.
That's generally my advice with getting into comics these days is take a look at what you like and jump into it. Everyone's always so nervous, like, oh, do I have to read 86,000 issues of Batman to get... No, you're fine. Just pick up something you like and read it.
Yeah, because if you read long enough, you tend to kind of catch up, and comics are usually written such that there's kind of enough background given insight. And we live in a day and age where if there's not, it's easy to find it.
It's called the internet, folks.
Wikipedia.
All right, we begin with the best writer category, as we always do, and it's funny because I said this is the first annual of this award show. We used to do a show called the Geeks Not Words Award, the Geeks Not Nerds Awards, which we did very differently from this, and it was all about the audience vote. And this year we decided it would be fun to play the Academy. Oh, there goes Steve again. Man, he's having a tough time. So anyway, so we have done this before, but very differently, and. Is your old computer back now?
Yes, it is.
Because that looks normal.
Yeah!
You don't have Vaseline on it.
Everybody!
Yay! Your computer's not dead. It's good. You would have had to have put it in the computer graveyard with Manos's.
In like 6 years, someone's going to go back and watch these videos, and there's going to be a running subplot of internet problems. It's gonna be
Somebody's going to analyze it. They're going to make a Geekvolution rewind, and it's... All right. Let's start with Best Writer, shall we? The nominees, we just have 4 for Best Writer this year, for last year, are G. Willow Wilson for Miss Marvel, Mark Waid for Daredevil, Jason Aaron on Star Wars, and Brian K. Vaughan on Paper Girls. And of course, Brian K. Vaughan also writing Saga last year. I nominated him for Paper Girls, and I assume that people voting probably also voted for him just because he's Brian K. Vaughan and he was working on Saga last year. But specifically, I was talking about Paper Girls because I love that book.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't vote for Paper Girls for anything, but I'm glad it got nominated for something.
Have you been reading it?
Mm-hmm.
He captures that vibe of the late 80s like nobody's business.
Yeah,
it's
just, great.
Oh, it's wonderful. Manos, are you reading that book?
I have not. I've just starting to get back into reading comics after a few months. So.
Oh, good.
That's on my to-do list.
Well, I suggest that one highly. You will not be disappointed. All right, so the audience went with Jason Aaron on Star Wars, which is not real surprising to me. 58% of the vote. Second place was Mark Waid with 27% of the vote. G. Willow Wilson got 8% of the vote. And Brian K. Vaughan came in fourth place with just 6% of the vote, which only means that people aren't reading that book. In fact, I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised that that hasn't been hyped up more than it has. And I'm hoping that once it's out in trade and it's looked at as a graphic novel, people will pounce on it and get really excited about it. But he's kind of competing with himself because of Saga, so that might be a thing. All right, so let's find out. Rasco, are you reading comics?
I have been reading the amount of comics I've been reading the past year has been very, very little. So, but I have been reading Star Wars, so I'm going to give it to Jason Aaron.
Okay, cool. Jason, what did you say? And remember that Jason got to pick whatever he wanted to. He's got a totally different list. Jason would not have been allowed to read anything on that list except for Star Wars and Miss Marvel. So, there's that. Jason, what did you pick, sir? But he's got his own reading list. Go ahead.
Scotty Young from Little Marvel AVX.
Nice.
Did you guys get that? Scotty Young, he did the AVX tie-in, which was really fun because instead of doing another big Avengers versus X-Men event thing, they just made it like super silly and made it about little kid Avengers and X-Men fighting over tree houses, and it was fantastic. All right, let's see, chose We had a tie on this one too. It was we tied between G. Willow Wilson and Mark Waid again. Manos, you and I have been putting Mark Waid up at the top every year for the last like 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah. I love the guy. I think he's brilliant, and he knows how to write his superhero comics in a modern way without really losing the funness of writing superhero comics. I think he's amazing. I came really close. Yeah, I came really close. I mean, we had some really good picks. G. Willow Wilson, I think, is a brand new all-star. I think she's fantastic, and she's somebody to watch. And Brian K. Vaughan is Brian K. Vaughan. I mean,
yeah. I also think somebody needs to create a new superhero and have the alter ego be G. Willow Wilson, because it just sounds like a superhero alias name. Like somebody should just call a superhero that. All right, we move
I'll
on.
do it.
We move on now to Best Artist, and unlike Best Writer, we had a whole lot of people for this category. We nominated Matteo Santaluco for Ninja Turtles, David Marquez for Invisible Iron Man. I wouldn't have thought of that, but his art is great on that book. Fiona Staples for Saga, John Cassaday for Star Wars, Jason Masters for James Bond, and Salvador Larroca for Darth Vader. And the audience for Best Artist this year chose, once again by a wide margin, John Cassaday on Star Wars. So Star Wars is sweeping the comic book category so far, with almost 53% of the vote there. Larroca got
the two things I read this year is sweeping the categories.
There were some really wonderful books out this year, despite how you might feel about the big two on the whole. Fiona
almost reads all reads stars.
I have no idea what you just said.
Who almost just reads stars.
Who just reads Star Wars? Dan only reads Star Wars right now.
That's me, yeah.
Steve only reads Star Wars and other things no one else cares about.
I don't even read Star Wars anymore. I just read James Bond and Iron Man.
So, okay, so Iron Man and then James Bond, which no one else cares about. No, I'm kidding. I don't know if that book's selling or not. Honestly, I'm looking at that. I thought the first issue was wonderful. I really liked it, but I haven't read past that. Anyway, let me finish this up real quick. Fiona Staples got 12% of the vote. David Marquez, 12% of the vote. And Santaluca, only 7% of the vote. Which, once again, if you were reading that book, you would have voted for him. Maybe not. I love him. Once again, Rasco is only reading Star Wars. Oh, no! Or is not reading anything. Rasco doesn't read. And, Jason, what did you pick for that?
I picked Michael Allred from Batman 66.
Yeah, good on you, kid. Michael Allred for Batman 66. He recently did an issue that was amazing, and Allred did this super cool thing where it was where he did an entire issue that was the intro, the animated intro for that show in story form.
Oh wow!
He took all those random made up villains and gave them characters, and he even had explanations for why the walls behind them were the colors they were. Like they went that far. It was cool. He didn't write that, but he drew it, and it was super cool. All right, moving right along to Best Ongoing Series. We've got, once again, Star Wars, Ms. Marvel, Ninja Turtles, and Gotham Academy, which Low read. None of the rest of us did. And
I love it. It's my favorite. I don't know if that's the consensus, but I've heard a lot of reviews of it.
A lot of people really like that book, yeah. I just haven't read it. And yeah, like it's not immediately my kind of thing, but because it's a very teenage kind of book. But for that, it sounds as good as that ever is.
Curious Low just slowing down for some reason.
Curious Low slowing down? She seems to be moving at a normal speed to me. Curious Low, why are you in slow motion? Is this 300? What's going on? Actually,
I don't know. I just sometimes move in slow motion.
If it was slow 100, it's slow 100. Slow 100. Curious Low 100. If it was 300, she would actually slow down just before she did something interesting. Like every time, it'd be like, and then something interesting would happen. for Best Ongoing Series, to no one's surprise, chose Star Wars with a sweeping 69%. Ninja Turtles got 13%, Miss Marvel got close to 12%, and Gotham Academy got close to 6% of the vote. Jason, what did you say was the best ongoing series for last year? Ninja Turtles.
6%.
Yeah. Rasco, once again, did you read enough to pick anything?
Not really, but I'm going to say Star Wars.
Way to
Rasco,
go on a limb there, Rasco. That's really brave.
There's an obvious bias there.
Rasco, we'll make this like a back and forth rap thing, and we'll like R&B thing, and be like when I say Rasco, you say Star Wars.
Everyone in the comments, in the chat, needs to say it also.
When I say Rasco, you say Star Wars.
It's the next song. It's your next original song on the ukulele. It can be that.
Oh, that song is so great. I've listened to it so many times.
I love that Bane rap that came out after Dino Rise. When I say no, you say Survivors. And now we go on to the Best Limited Series. Our nominees for that category were Secret Wars, which incidentally is still delayed and not done yet. Sandman Overture, Tomorrow's, and Princess Leia. That was an eclectic assortment of limited series we chose there. And the audience, with 56% of the vote, picked, everybody say it with me, the Star Wars one.
Wow.
Over Sandman Overture, really?
And over Secret Wars, which surprises me slightly. Although I do think that a lot of people that aren't reading a lot of comics right now are still reading Star Wars. Secret Wars got 27% of the vote. Sandman Overture was in third place with almost 15%, and Tomorrow's with 2%. I have no idea what that is.
I think I'm the only one that read it, so you know, the 2%.
I think Sandman had a problem where people forget it exists in between books. It's pretty late.
That's true.
It makes a Kevin Smith book look like a bi-weekly.
You don't know why that's funny.
Now, Jason, no. I don't know if you know this, but Jason really hates Kevin Smith's tardiness. That's really
So,
bugs him.
The next issue of Daredevil Bullseye Target. Come on, Kevin Smith. Does that happen?
First issue came out before he was born, for God's sakes.
He will have directed a Flash episode before that comes out. Think about it, friends. That'll never come out. Yeah, he's directing a Flash episode. Isn't that exciting? Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't get Green Arrow rather than Flash, because
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of. Yeah. Well, thanks, Dan. You just said my entire captain's log on that, so I guess I'll make that. Rasco, what would you have picked for that category? I say Rasco, you say.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm honestly not qualified to go because I read barely anything that qualified me to answer to pick any of those.
same here, but I chose one.
Shut up, Dan.
Yeah, and Dan had reason to be responsible and stuff. And anyway, Jason, what did you pick for limited series?
Sonic Mega Man Woods Unite.
Did you guys get that? Jason's been reading the Sonic Mega Man crossover.
Oh, nice.
That's I want to say that one's 12 issues too. I think there was one that was Worlds Collide, then another one and then the new one that's Worlds Unite. He's been liking that a lot. Now we go on to Publisher of the Year. Much to a lot of people's chagrin, DC did not make this list. None of us, once again, the way that we do this, none of us nominated it. DC, compared to the three that we put down here, I thought had a pretty abysmal year this last year. They have some books that I have enjoyed, but overall, they've not been to the caliber of the three that we ended up picking, in my opinion, and obviously everyone else's that here on the panel. So the publishers that we nominated this time are Marvel, IDW, and Image, and the audience went with Marvel with a sweeping 77% because they all read Star Wars. Image got about 14% of the vote, and IDW got 9% of the vote. Jason, did you do anything? Did you pick one for this?
Yeah.
What did you pick?
I picked DC.
You picked DC?
Yeah.
Okay, Jason picked DC.
Yeah, I did a puppet show too.
You did a puppet show?
No, I did a puppet.
Oh, a publisher. Oh, excuse me. All right. And we
almost said puppet show.
We also ended up picking Marvel, and I think again partly because of what we all read. I would have I this year personally would have put that only slightly above the other two, but I think Image had a really great year last year, and they have consistently the last several years been in really good shape. And IDW had a lot of great stuff last year that I liked a lot too. Okay, anybody else want to say anything about comics before we move on to the next category?
I think my choice, if I'm not mistaken, I picked Image because I think creatively they had an outstanding year.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, I think I think some of their books, I think just in terms of storytelling, just really expanded what comics could do this year. It's just that, for me personally, they were the only choice.
The thing that really impressed me about Marvel last year, and it'll be interesting to see how I feel about them this year after the reboot, was that they rebooted with a story, with a compelling story, with a series that I liked a lot. So even though I wasn't happy with the fact that they rebooted, Secret Wars has been really good. The added issues and the delay is obnoxious, but I mean, like the God Doom stuff and all that is just really, really neat stuff. And all of those tie-ins were worthy of taking the place of the regular books, in my opinion. So we had that period where it was sort of like what I wished Flashpoint had been, where it was just let that take over for a while and be that universe for longer, because Flashpoint was really interesting, and then they replaced it with a thing that wasn't. Marvel has had a better reboot than 52, but I'm still not, on the whole, real excited about it. Some of the individual books I like a lot, but anyway, so but that's where that and Star Wars, that's where Marvel really was doing some impressive things last year, I thought. And Manos, you gave Secret Wars some points, I think.
I did, yeah. I really like Secret Wars.
Let's move on now, shall we, to film. And we begin with the, of course, best superhero and comic book movie of last year. We had a slim pickings for this last year for superhero movies compared to previous years and compared to this year. This year there will be like 7 or 8 on that list, which will be really, really interesting. This time for live action, of course, we had Ant-Man, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Kingsman: The Secret Service, which I think a lot of people probably still don't even know is a comic book movie, but it is. And of course, Fantastic Four could have been on that list, but wasn't. But that was the only other live-action comic book movie that came out last year, I think. Superhero, certainly. The audience, over Age of Ultron, watched Steve fall out of his chair, picked Ant-Man with 46%. And you notice that Steve is gone, but not because anything's wrong with his computer.
The audience picked Ant-Man? That's amazing.
I cannot believe that. What?
I mean, I like Ant-Man, but I did not think the audience would go for that. That's hilarious.
That's so weird.
I mean,
It got a...
I spent 3 months and 2 hours on Age of Ultron, so...
Well, it's all been wasted.
It all means nothing now.
Okay, cool. Glad we're all in agreement.
Steve wasn't present at the Cabal meeting where this was all planned.
I knew I shouldn't have skipped that one.
That was the most important one that you attended. That you would attend. If Steve had been there, he would have filibustered with his 2-hour video about Age of Ultron.
Followed by the 2-hour commentary, followed by the half-an-hour reflection, followed by the 50-page script that we will proofread.
50-page script.
Yep.
So the audience chose Ant-Man over Age of Ultron with almost by almost a 10-point margin, which is wild. Age of Ultron got 35% of the vote, and Kingsman got 19, which is higher than I would have thought. And Kingsman, was solid.
Kingsman's great. I love that movie.
True.
We chose Age of Ultron. Just throwing that out there. that was the panel's pick by quite a bit. And what would you have said, Rasco?
I would have also said Age of Ultron, but Kingsman is a very close second for me.
Kingsman wins in my
Keeping
heart.
keeping in mind that once again I would not have allowed Jason to watch Kingsman. Jason, what did you choose?
Are we doing live action movies?
Yes, yeah, best superhero comic book live action movies.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Yep.
So you guys are all wrong.
Not me. I picked that too.
No, I mean the Ant-Man, the 45% Ant-Man people.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. Moving right along, we go to I told you it would be interesting if nothing else. Best non-superhero comic book movie. The nominees. This is an interesting list. Were Jurassic Park from 1994. Jurassic Park. Jurassic World, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Ex Machina, Crimson Peak, The Martian, and Mad Max: Fury Road. I hate to report that there are a number of movies on that list that I didn't get to. I didn't see a lot of movies last year. And my vote.
You're too busy drinking, apparently.
Well, I did see Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I'm just saying that there are some movies on that list that I wish I had seen that I didn't get a chance to, namely Ex Machina and The Martian.
Which category was this again?
This is It's okay. He's been drinking too.
We all have.
What are you talking about? It's right here.
Rasco, it's best non-superhero comic film.
Okay, I was just making. Okay.
Essentially all other movies.
Yeah.
Is everyone caught up now? All right. The audience chose with 40% of the vote Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Jurassic World got 34% of the vote. Really surprised how close those were. Ex Machina got only 2% of the vote. Mad Max 13%, and The Martian almost 10%. What would you have picked, Rasco? Star Wars?
No, I actually would have picked Ex Machina.
Oh
Yes.
wow!
Rasco, internet fist bump.
They're like Mad Max, Star Wars, and Ex Machina were all really, really close for me. But yeah.
I say Rasco, you say Ex Machina.
I gotta say, this was a really good year for films. I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought the movies that were good were really good. I thought overall it was kind of a mediocre year. There weren't as many things that I was excited to rush out to the theater and go to as there were the year before, and as there will be this year. But I saw. I do have to say that I think all the movies I saw, minus a couple, were really good. Like I didn't see a ton, like I said, but like I didn't see a lot of really crappy movies last year.
Yeah, I think that this was a very surprising year. I think what was really good this year was like a surprise, like were surprisingly good movies. Like I don't think anyone thought Mad Max was going to be as good of a movie as that was.
No, I think part of the reason that people are calling it overrated and stuff is because people are freaking out that it was a good movie. I think people didn't expect anything from that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this year in film because there was a new Star Wars movie out, and it was really good. That's my 2 cents.
I liked it.
Dan's like, the only thing that could have made it better is if it came out last January and stayed the whole time. It was a great 12 months of film because every month I went at least 3 times.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Jason, what did you pick for your favorite non-superhero comic book live-action movie?
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
And you've seen Star Wars how many times now, Jason?
3.
We've been 3 times. Okay. So now, but I mean, I'll never beat Rasco's record because as soon as I've seen it 7 times, he'll have gone 14. All right. So now, I really just want to go to a movie theater and get a bunch of people to do that and be like, when I say Rasco, you say Star Wars.
Who the hell is Rasco?
What? What's a Rasco? Isn't that a country band? Now we move on to Best Animated Movie from last year, and the nominees are Lego Justice League Attack of the Legion of Doom. I didn't say they had to be theatrical. the Peanuts movie, Justice League: Gods and Monsters, and Inside Out. So you know that it is a slim year for animated movies when 2 of them are direct-to-video Justice League films that end up making our list. The audience chose. I was really surprised by this. Over Inside Out, the Peanuts movie with 45% of the vote. Yeah. And I heard it was wonderful. I missed it and hated that I missed it.
It's really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I'll be able to see more things this year. We've got a baby in the house. It's made it really difficult to go to the theater. Inside Out had 38% of the vote. Like I said, rounding up, Justice League: Gods and Monsters got 12% of the vote. And 12 people voted for Lego Justice League, and good on you, because that movie was hilarious. I voted for that. It's wonderful. And if you haven't seen that and you're rolling at your eyes because Lego things, it's some of the best superhero satire I've seen in a long time. It's really funny. We are in Lego form attacking cynicism in superhero comics, and it's fantastic. Okay, moving right along. Oh, you want to know what we said? You said Inside Out, which is what I would have figured would have swept it all the way across the board. What would you have said, Rasco?
I would have said Inside Out also.
What did you pick, Jason?
I said Inside Out also.
Jason's acting like he got it right. He's like, yes, I got one right!
Yep,
He copied.
I got it right.
Now we go on to Best Actor, and the nominees here, and of course we didn't slim this down. What are you? What is that? What are you doing? Why are you chanting behind me? Are you speaking Latin behind my back?
No.
What were you saying?
Nominee.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
He's been drinking also.
So you're. I told you not to tell anyone about that, Rascal. All right. So anyway, we did not separate this out between superhero and non-superhero movies. We just put all the actors and actresses together. But this is for live-action theatrical movies. The nominees for Best Actor are Michael B. Jordan for Creed, Tom Hardy for Mad Max, Paul Bettany for Age of Ultron, John Boyega for Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Matt Damon for The Martian, and Adam Driver for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Really, really interesting list there, and 2 people from Star Wars. I had a couple. I had at least one person on Facebook irritated that we didn't nominate Poe. I'm like, what is with everyone's obsession with this character? He was not in that much of that movie.
You know,
It's the best part of that movie.
I are obsessed with Poe Dameron, but I didn't vote for him. I don't know if Steve did.
I didn't vote for him either because I figured everyone else would.
I'm surprised Harrison Ford didn't get picked by anybody, because he was great in that movie too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's in that film. I forgot.
By a wide margin, yeah, spoiler alert, but something important happens with that guy. Jason, knock it off. By a large margin, Matt Damon won with the audience with 48% of the vote.
I can see that.
That makes me so happy.
The Martian's a great movie.
Yeah, I love it.
The rest of it was a pretty even split. Paul Bettany got 10% of the vote. That was mine. Honestly, I thought Steve would nominate him, and I nominated him. Was really surprised that didn't happen with Steve, and was also surprised that I got it with him as much of a percentage as I did. So that was cool. Adam Driver 15%, John Boyega 11%, Michael B. Jordan 10%, and I think he's going to get nominated. He's likely to get nominated for an Oscar, and I think a lot of people just didn't see Creed. And Tom Hardy got 5% of the vote, which really surprised me. I thought more people would vote for him. What would you have said, Rasco?
I went with John Boyega. But I have to mention this. Oscar Isaac in Ex Machina is, I think, the best performance in a movie all year.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's amazing in that movie.
He's so good in that movie.
I haven't seen it yet, and I need to.
You should all watch that movie.
It is one of the best sci-fi films ever, and he's so good in it.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think that the person that was irritated that he wasn't on that list, it wasn't because of Star Wars. It all becomes clear. I'm so glad you guys said that, because I would have had a bunch of comments. You idiot! It was for Ex Machina! Jason, who did you pick?
I went with John Boyega.
You went with John Boyega also?
Yay.
And he came up with that by himself. Not like he didn't remember his name. He was just like, who's Finn? And then I told him.
Yeah.
I think my favorite kid in 2016 is Jason.
And welcome once again to another exciting episode of Primetime Awkward Silence. I can't decide if it's a delay or if no one thinks anything is worth commenting on. And now we move on.
Well, before we
And all.
Wait, who did we pick?
Oh, we picked.
The official winner, who was that?
Well, I was hesitating on this because it was for a long time a six-way time.
Oh my god.
Because we all picked different things and then stuck to our guns on them. I had one more extra point I could throw out, so I ended up having to be the deciding factor, and I ended up picking Adam Driver, but I wasn't sure about that choice. So,
Hello, Ren.
Yeah.
in effect, I mean, he was wonderful, and I know people, not everybody agrees with that, but I thought he was wonderful. But I could have picked 2 or 3 other people on that list. So anyway, moving right along to Best Actress, we have
Best Actress. I just want to mention really quick for people that didn't watch Mr. Holmes, Ian McKellen's best performance ever. I think that movie is incredible.
Yeah, the only reason he didn't make our nominee list was because you were the only person that picked him, and you didn't have enough points to keep him in.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just wanted to throw it out in case people haven't seen it yet.
My parents saw that and adored it, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. But I've been told by everyone in my family that I need to watch that movie.
It's really good.
Steve, do I have your permission to move on to Best Actress now?
Yes. Permission.
Okay, thanks very much. All right. These are always awkward because I have to do a lot of talking, saying like this person won this and this thing won this, and then everybody's like, but I want to comment on that. Stop. All right, so moving right along, so then I just like pause for a long time to make sure that everybody gets to say something, that if they want to say something, and then it becomes primetime awkward silence, the live show. Okay, Best Actress. We've got Maika Monroe for It Follows, Charlize Theron for Mad Max. I'm gonna botch everyone's names. It's fun. Alicia Vikander for Ex Machina. Bryce Dallas Howard for Jurassic World, and Daisy Ridley for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And the audience, by not a giant margin, chose Daisy Ridley with almost 43% of the vote. And surprisingly, the runner-up was Bryce Dallas Howard. And frankly, I was surprised that she was even nominated. Wow. I mean, not saying it was a bad performance, but I wouldn't have thought to put that on this list. And then the others were very small percentages. Charlize Theron with 14%. And Alicia Vikander with 8%, and apparently 3 people saw It Follows, or decided to vote for that one. What would you have said, Rasco?
I feel like I at least have to give it to Daisy Ridley. There's a lot of contenders, but I'm going to give it to Daisy Ridley.
He chooses Ridley, believe it or not. And now we go. Now we go to Jason. Jason, who did you pick?
I went with Phasma.
Yeah. Gwendolyn Christie.
Well, yeah, that's a good pick.
Her performance is riveting.
Maybe Jason's seen Game of Thrones and he just hasn't told you because we were talking about Game of Thrones and that would be my pick.
Game of Thrones? Shame. Shame.
Look,
Ding, ding, ding.
Look, you need to stop telling people about all the secrets in my house, okay? Like now everybody knows that Jason watches Game of Thrones and then he drinks and like.
Well, hey, it's not your fault. I mean, not everybody knows Kansas's drinking age is actually 4.
See, what's so funny about that is that sounds like a political joke, but it's not. Like, it's based on nothing. Like I'm sort of thinking about that. Like that should be really funny social commentary. Like that's great political satire. He's not talking about anything at all right now. It's just giving positive context.
So what did we choose?
I almost made
what's our pick?
I'm trying to decide if I want to. I came up with a really funny joke, but I can't decide if I should say it. I'll wait. We chose Charlize Theron, Mad Max.
Yay!
That's
Yeah.
amazing. She was really great in that movie.
I'm glad Mad Max won something.
Yeah.
Me too. I like that movie a lot.
She had to do all that acting with like that arm, for God's sake. So.
Yeah, well, Tom Hardy had to do all that acting with that thing on his head, but then he has a lot of experience with that.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Good job, Tom Hardy! You weren't thinking." He's like, "I've done this before."
Mad Max was the origin of Bane. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Already been buying forward.
What?
Was that like if Bane was from Alabama?
Already been buying forward.
You know, their drinking age is 3, so. Okay, that's enough. We're never gonna get past this if we keep doing it.
I just
All
thought
right,
it was funny
moving right
that
along,
when
we go.
said Charlize Theron should have won because she did acting with an arm. Jason started cracking up. Apparently, her arm was funny.
He's like, doesn't everyone act with an arm? He's like, I watched my dad constantly talking with both of them. Jason, do I have your permission to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who won?
Okay, we should not go. Moving right along, we go to Worst Movie, and the nominees for Worst Movie, the Geekvolution Razzies, are Taken 3, Jupiter Ascending, Fantastic Four, Pixels, and Terminator Genesis. And I hate to say that there were a lot of those movies on the best of list that I missed. I have seen all but one of these. You know, I said I didn't see a lot of bad movies last year, but then I'm looking at this list going, well, there were some things to choose from.
We passed the overall movie.
No, we're doing that afterwards. Your list is just in the wrong order. Your list is wrong. It's inferior. The worst movie chosen by our audience, once again, by quite a spread, was Fantastic Four, with 64% of the vote. Once again, I imagine that a lot of our audience went to see that because it was a superhero thing, and they felt obliged to, and probably skipped all the other things because people said they were bad, and they were not obliged to. Pixels got 21% of the vote. It was really bad. Jupiter Ascending got 7% of the vote. Taken 3 got 4%, and Terminator Genesis got 3%. I don't think Terminator Genesis was bad enough to be on that list. I understand why people didn't like it. I flipped my sign green, so what the heck do I know? What would you have said, Rasco?
I voted for Fantastic Four, and I don't really think that it's the worst movie on that list, but Fantastic Four was bad in like the most hilarious way. Like when I was watching that movie, it was such a weird experience in the ways that movie was bad, and it was bad for all of like the worst things about like the studio meddling with the film. It was bad in all the worst ways. So I voted for Fantastic Four.
It was bad in the way of like, if it's gonna look like this, just don't even put it out. Like the studio wasn't happy with it. Like, just don't even put it out. But then you have to.
I wonder if the studio was, because this film was essentially the studio's chance to keep Fantastic Four. Like if it failed, they were gonna lose it. So maybe that's why they were meddling so much with it. Like they figured they had a lot going on with this, and they felt like they totally wanted to keep the movie, so everybody jumped in. Of course, ironically, ruining the movie and ruining their chances. If they had just let the director make the movie he wanted to do, they may have had a different story.
Yeah, and we talked about this a lot when we did our spoiler cast on it. Jason didn't pick anything for this category because he didn't see enough bad movies, and he saw nothing on this list. Luckily, I was duped into thinking Pixels was a family movie. I nearly took him, and I'm so glad I didn't do that. That would have actually been a thing where I wouldn't have told anyone I did that. And then Rasco would be like, can you believe that Captain Logan took his kid to see Pixels? We chose Fantastic Four.
I really like video games, though.
What does that have to do with anything? Oh, pixels, yeah.
Pixels.
We've moved on. Yeah, but I like video games. Oh yeah, okay. We move on to our final category, or to in this in movies, and that is best overall movie. We have 4 nominations, and they are Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Kingsman: The Secret Service, Ex Machina, and Mad Max: Fury Road. Well, I guess it's good that at least there's one superhero movie on this list, because otherwise it would just be really redundant. The audience picked, say it with me, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Thank you, sir. With 7, that was rhetorical. With 74% of the vote, Mad Max got 12%, Kingsman 9, and Ex Machina 3. I'm assuming that Rasco, among those, would have picked Ex Machina again.
Yeah, it was really close between that and Mad Max for me.
And what did you pick, Jason?
I picked Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron over Star Wars.
Hooray, Jason!
Hooray!
And we picked Star Wars: The Force Awakens. We now move on to our final category, which is the main event for this show. And I should mention, by the way, that in the TV category, this was, for the audience, the least amount of entries that were skipped. For like video games and comics, there were like a full 70, 80 people that skipped certain questions. For this, and I'm assuming this is like most of the people that voted were people that watched Primetime Crisis Live. Only 5 people out of the 265 people that voted skipped the first question in TV. So you had more people skipping movies than skipped TV. We had Best Non-Superhero Comic Movie. We had 21 people skip that question. We had 30 people skip Best Animated Movie. 5 people skipped the first in the TV, which I thought was very interesting. The first question for TV is what was the best superhero comic book live-action show from 2015, and the nominees are... And see, this is just more exciting and fun because we spent all last year doing nothing on Sunday nights but complaining and talking about this stuff for first 2 straight hours. The Flash, Daredevil, iZombie, Jessica Jones, and Agent Carter.
The Flash was just because of me.
The Flash was not because of you. Dan nominated The Flash.
Oh!
I did, yeah. I put the 3 shows that I watched on my best of list because I enjoyed all of them.
Because he actually likes them. Yeah. Yes, he did. The audience... Are you ready? See, I'm going to actually make you wait this time because this is a thing people care more about. The audience chose The Flash with 45% of the vote, narrowly beating out Daredevil. Daredevil had 39% of the vote. I knew that was going to be right. Look. I wish that I had asked Steve to wear a hat because he would have thrown it 5 times by now.
I have a hat.
You gonna throw it?
I could have gotten a hat. Hang on.
I got a hat. Are you throwing hats? Is that a kind of thing? Hold on.
Let's make it a ring. We're gonna throw our hats in it.
All right. Here's my very nice brown leather hat. I didn't mean that. I like this hat.
Did you just kiss your hat?
I did. It's a nice hat.
Wait for Manos. Manos is gonna throw a hat too. Manos, we can't hear you.
Orgo hat.
Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you.
God, that was something.
Should I throw one in your band?
Is that it? Then here's my Frank Miller evil hat. There we go.
He's like, boy, was that satisfying.
Yeah, look at that. Look at me with this fedora. I'm going to go online and complain about Ghostbusters.
Jessica Jones. You don't know why that's funny.
Ghostbusters.
Jessica Jones got only 11% of the vote. Agent Carter, 3% of the vote, and iZombie, 2% of the vote. Well, let's hear from Rascal. Rascal, what would you have picked?
I picked Daredevil.
Yeah!
Good choice, man.
Yes!
Now remember,
Howard Johnson is right.
I want everyone to remember that Jason. Okay, this is nuts. Somehow or rather, people got wind that now we're talking about TV because our viewership just spiked by like a quarter of what it was. That's really weird. We just jumped like 30%. That's so weird. Anyway, remember that Jason was not allowed to watch Daredevil, Jessica Jones, or iZombie. So, Jason, well, or Gotham, but that's a given. Jason, what would you have chosen for this category? Or what did you choose for this category?
The Flash.
The Flash! But see, no one's going to make fun of you for that, because you didn't get to watch Daredevil. If you picked Daredevil, you would have been mortified and cried in a corner for 3 days, and then picked it for your favorite.
I was thinking that you might pick Hulk Agents of Smash.
No, he hasn't been watching those.
Any good?
We have other cartoons on DVD from 10 years ago that are better than those. We've been watching those.
Hulk Agents of Smash is awful.
And Sonic.
We chose.
That show is so bad. I'm surprised it doesn't come with your Happy Meal.
Guys, this one was really tough. We had a tie, and then we all had to vote again, and this ended up getting knocked over by just 1 point. But Daredevil just narrowly for us beat out Jessica Jones, but like just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daredevil's the Seahawks.
While I was telling that up and then asking you guys to re-vote again, I was in my mind picturing this giant Daredevil Jessica Jones slugfest between those two characters. And now I have to see that sometime in my life. That has to happen now, because it was a really
good
good
happen.
fight. And I'm not a real big like who would win in a fight person, but I don't even care who would win. I just want to see that now. Jason,
Daredevil is gonna win.
you said the Flash, so now we move on. I just like keep asking Jason about things, but we already did that. Okay, now we move on to best non-superhero comic book live-action show. This was not as big of a throwdown because, surprise, surprise, we don't watch as many of those as we do superhero. You know why? Because there's not enough time in the day. That's why. The best superhero non-comic book shows nominations were Outlander, Doctor Who, Mr. Robot. What the heck is Mr. Robot?
That is a show on USA, and it just won a Golden Globe for Best TV Series.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I guess I should be taking a look at that. Is it a sci-fi show?
Kind of. It's more of a political thing. It's about drones and cyber warfare and such.
Oh, okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Wait. In the words of everyone's grandparents, who turned your tickle box over? What?
I've never heard that before.
Everyone's grandparents but Dan's. Okay, I'm gonna start again. Outlander, maybe it's a Midwest thing, I don't know. Yeah. Outlander, Doctor Who, Mr. Robot, The Man in the High Castle, and Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones won with the audience by a gigantic margin.
Oh, audience, I'm disappointed.
Maybe none of them have Amazon Prime. Seriously. All right. Game of Thrones won. With 19%, we've got Doctor Who. Stop making me laugh. Mr. Robot, 9%. Man in the High Castle, almost 7%. And Outlander got 0.89%.
Yeah, it's my favorite show of the year.
Wait, not even a full
Nobody
person?
else watches it.
How does that happen?
I have not understood how these percentages break down. They're all like that. It makes there's probably people doing the math during the show going, that math doesn't line up. No, it doesn't. I don't understand this poll.
Did half a guy vote for Outlander?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Did the guy who was going through what Marty McFly went through at the end of Back to the Future vote on this poll? Was he like looking at a picture of himself and he was like half present? That's what must have happened. You need to calm down, okay? All right.
You need to chill.
It's okay. I'm never inviting you back. And now we go to Rasco. Rasco, what would you have said was the best non-superhero show last year?
Game of Thrones.
Jason, what did you pick?
The Muppets.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, I actually regret not voting for that, actually.
Yeah, I could have seen Manos giving that points.
Yeah. I actually, a couple days after we did these, I was like, oh, you know what? I totally forgot Muppets.
And we chose Man in the High Castle because Dan and I both voted for it, and everyone else voted for something different than what we voted for.
Man in the High Castle is exceptional. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's awesome.
I want to do not a commentary, a show on that with both you and Steve, Dan, because Steve is not anything. He is underwhelmed compared to us.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, fair.
I'm not crazy. I wasn't crazy about the book either, so.
He's not in love with it, so I think we should argue with him and tag team him and beat the crap out of him on a show, really, is I think what should happen.
Exactly what I like on my weekends.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Steve?
That's exactly what I like on my weekends.
I'm kidding. You can bring back up. It's cool.
It will be Geekvolution Civil War. Like, imagine the ending of the Civil War trailer with Captain America and Iron Man and Bucky. Captain Logan and Steve is Iron Man.
Dan, throw me your shield. I gotta throw it into Steve's back.
I can just see that. Cap, why are you agreeing with Dan about that show? He's my friend. You were my friend
So was
too.
I. Guys, I'm gonna talk to Shades at Night and get back to you. Best animated show. Wait, did we say? Yeah, Man in the High Castle. That's what started the throwdown. Best animated show. The nominees are Steven Universe, Bob's Burgers, Regular Show, and Star Wars Rebels. Does that just make you laugh? Somebody says Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
So just
Bob's Burgers is awesome.
It's definitely another thing that I won't let him
so
watch.
Bob's Burgers.
The audience chose Star Wars Rebels because
Yeah,
I
what
think
a
that's probably
big
what
shock.
they watched. 60% of the vote. That's not fair. There's some other things. Everything else got some votes. Steven Universe with almost 20% of the vote because, again, half or quarter people apparently are voting. I don't understand how this works. Regular show, I don't get math, y'alls. Bob's Burgers, 14%, and regular show, almost 6. Now, we move on. Oh, wait, we picked Steven Universe.
Yeah!
Yes.
Did Star Wars win, like, everything in which it was nominated for a
I think
category?
Star Wars
I think so.
I think so.
I think we should have experimented and put it in a category it didn't really need to be in.
Best Star Wars thing this year. Which one was your favorite?
Well, I mean, to be fair,
Best
there are plenty
musical,
of
Star Wars.
To be fair, Manos, there are plenty of categories that don't have Star Wars in them. I'm just saying, when you said we should have experimented, what would we have done? Like,
Well, I think Best Musical would have been a good one.
were there enough musicals?
No.
And that would be the reason, sir, that I didn't think of that. Manos is like, if I were running things, they'd be entirely impractical.
Yes!
We should have done a Geekvolution category and been like, best Geekvolution reality program.
Impracticality is way overrated.
Best actor category, Charlie Cox for Daredevil.
Oh, you
What? Oh, did I not? For what? What? What did I miss?
You.
Oh, I didn't ask about your favorite animated show? Oh, sorry.
He
Hey,
was so offended by that.
hey, Rasco, what was your favorite animated show?
Bob's Burgers.
Jason, what was yours?
Sonic Boom.
That's a surprisingly good show.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate the animation, but it's actually.
I watched it on YouTube.
See, I couldn't deal with Knuckles on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good, but it's got
Terrible.
some joke.
Yeah, well, it was rushed out and stuff. Yeah, the video game is like 06 bad.
Hey, has anybody watched that new Transformers show?
Everybody said
Yeah,
it's good. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, that's because they show it Saturdays at 6:30 a.m. or something like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, how do you keep it?
I'm going to continue. Is that cool? All right, here we go.
Nope.
Best actor. Thanks!
Yeah.
Charlie Cox for Daredevil. David Tennant for Jessica Jones. Vincent D'Onofrio, Daredevil. I mean, just those two up against each other. How do you pick? How do you pick? Peter Capaldi for Doctor Who. I'm glad he made this list. I like him a lot. And Stephen Yeun for The Walking Dead. I think that's the only Walking Dead thing that actually made it on our list. Lo tried to just so people know, Lo loves Walking Dead and tried to nominate it for a number of categories. But the rest of us either don't watch or don't like that show. So people are really on us to start talking about that on Crisis. And
I tried, guys. I nominated it.
I have considered catching up so that we can do that. So that because Lo watches it, so at least Lo and I can talk about it. But I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm going to do it. But
I'm like a season behind on that show. If needed, I could catch up.
Okay, I mean, if you caught up, then we could at least have you and Lo talk about it, and then I could go off and make a sandwich. But I will probably try to catch up.
Kat could actually take a break on Primetime Crisis for once.
Well, you know, I used to. We used to do right in the middle of things, we used to do the Dan and Steve show.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
We'd be like, Cat Logan needs a break. I'm going to run off and let you guys talk about whatever. And then we had this joke where I would come back and try to guess what they were talking about, and it was always really obvious.
That was back when we sections into separate videos, and you just wouldn't put that one in its own video, so it would only be in the live show.
Yeah, we had to have some special reason to watch the live show. Yeah. Oh, man. That was, and I know people missed that, but God, it got to be 4 hours, and we just decided we could not do that anymore. All right, so anyway, the best actor according to the audience for 2015 was Stephen Yeun for The Walking Dead, which tells me that if we had picked more Walking Dead, it probably would have dominated pretty hard with 37% of the vote. You know, this whole time I could have just said, like, number of people that responded. That would have been smarter, probably.
Well, and also, people are pointing out in the comics that the way that math works is when you have more than 100 people voting for things, that's how you get half percentages.
Oh, because
so we're all
well, I'm not the only person that thought that was weird. Just for the record, I'm not the only...
you weren't. It's the comments that are pointing it out.
Thanks, people in the comments.
I also take that. Hey, Logan, I'll back you up on that. I also thought that was weird. I mean, granted, I had a C- grade in basic math in high school, but I mean, I agree with you.
Well, Manos and I are both going to put on the hood of shame and continue. So, anyway, David Tennant with 24% of the vote. Well, Jessica Jones in this case.
Oh, yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio got 17% of the vote. Charlie Cox, 15%, and Peter Capaldi with 7% of the vote. I thought that was a really neat list. That category was cool. We had just some. Can you stop that, please? We had some stellar performances last year.
You didn't talk about
I'm not done.
Oh, I didn't know.
Would you give me the 6 seconds it takes for me to say, Rasco, what was your pick?
David Tennant.
David Tennant. Yeah, that was my nomination as well. What did you say, Jason?
I said.
Oh, you guys are gonna love this. Go ahead.
I said Tom Cavanaugh.
Tom Cavanaugh.
Oh,
that's good.
That is a good pick.
And honestly, I would go so far as to say that would have been fair to be on our list.
Yeah.
That's Manos. That's Harrison Wells in Flash. Okay, moving right along.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I just Googled it, so I didn't know either.
Face where he's like, Jason looks more knowledgeable than me. I can't have that.
Like Tom Cavanaugh, the guy who hosts Dancing with the Stars?
Incidentally, he watches that too.
What? I don't watch.
You watch some Dancing with the Stars. Are you gonna argue with me?
I don't.
I thought you'd watch that. Or was it some other dance show?
Game of Thrones.
It's you're talking about. So you think?
Oh, you watched that other show with the word dance in it.
Yeah.
Jason, I love that show. Good job.
Curious Lowe's a dance teacher. Did you know that?
No.
She always likes to know what kinds of things you're doing in dance, and I can never tell her. So you guys should hook up and talk.
Yeah, but you.
Can we move on?
It's a long show.
It's a long show. Yeah.
It's a really long show.
I don't watch it live. I watch all the dances afterwards on YouTube.
All right, we're gonna move on now.
First football, then dance. Sorry.
People are leaving, and they don't care. Moving on. Best actress. Are you done?
Yeah.
For the Best Actress category, we have Catriona Balfe for Outlander, Rose McIver for iZombie, Kristen Ritter, Jessica Jones, Haley Atwell, Agent Carter, and Deborah Ann Wall for Daredevil. That was Karen Page. Good pick, Dan. I wouldn't have thought of that, but
Yeah, she's great.
That is a good pick.
the winner by a pretty big spread, and I was surprised by this, by the audience, was Haley Atwell with 52% of the vote.
Wow.
Kristen Ritter got 29. Rose McIver only got 14%. Deborah Ann Wall got 5%, and once again, one person watched Outlander. What did Curious Lo was cheating, and she went in and did.
No, I didn't actually.
I'm just kidding.
Someone else out there.
What did you say, Rasco?
Kristen Ritter.
Yep, I also said that. Oh, and incidentally, that was our vote, Kristen Ritter. Did I ever think what our vote was for Best Actor? It was David Tennant. David Tennant was what we chose for Best Actor. I keep skipping hours, which is the whole point of this.
It's the whole point of the show!
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Manos. I want to keep up with. I'm sorry.
Now it's Rasco's favorite for every category. We're
I
taking
know more about his picks than ours!
Rasco Crisis Live.
Look, I've gotten it out every time. Sometimes it just takes a minute. It's Rasco's Modern Life. I'm sorry. Jason, what did you pick for that category? For Best Actress?
Best Actress?
Yeah.
Okay. Willa Holland.
Willa Holland.
Yeah.
Who's Willa Holland?
She's Thea from
Arrow. Thea from Arrow. He likes Thea from Arrow. Everybody was really impressed with Tom Cavanaugh. Everybody now is like, oh.
I can't believe no one mentioned Supergirl.
I know, I was surprised by that too. Hey, Manos.
Hey!
We picked Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Moving right along. Are you done? And now we move on to worst superhero or comic book show. This is one of those things I felt the need to put on this list because we just got some shows that we don't like very much on Primetime Crisis, and I thought it would be fun to see which one won this. The nominees are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Gotham, and Arrow, and the audience went with by a 2% margin. I mean, it was real close. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. beat out Gotham by a 2%.
What?
Wow. Whoa.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sorry. It is often dull. I don't love it. It is not worse than Gotham.
No.
And Arrow got 17% of the vote because all those people that vote for it every week on Primetime Crisis voted for something else. And that's I'm just kidding. I'm probably not kidding.
So what was our pick?
Our pick was, well, see, I had an order for this, man. I was I keep forgetting that part. It's cool. Our pick was Gotham.
Yeah, that was my pick.
As it should be.
It was nearly unanimous. And Rascal, what would you have said?
Gotham.
I love it. Rascal was incapable of saying that show in a higher register. Have you noticed that? If he brings up Gotham, he's like, Gotham. like watching Gotham is Rasco's death of Bruce Wayne's parents. It's what will motivate him to put on a suit and fight crime.
I've already got my superhero identity.
What is it?
I can't tell you, but
it's Rasco Man.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen there's a great supercut of Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot down, like over and over again from the various different versions.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious. I mean, they have died more than Bob Saget on stage.
Now, Jason didn't pick one because he likes all the stuff he watches, and he likes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I don't let him watch Gotham.
Good. That's smart.
So,
That should be just a household rule for the next 20 years.
I really doubt that when he's 13 years old, he's like, Dad, can I finally watch Gotham?
What if it's still on?
Oh my God.
It will still be on. That's
It's Batman Beyond. It's Gotham Beyond, and it's like that. It's like in the future.
yeah.
Manos, by season 11, they're just going to change the name to Smallville.
Yeah, well, yeah, the kid playing
Should've said.
playing Bruce Wayne will be like 36 and beating up people in black, and they're going, "Ooh, who's the shadowy guy?"
Yeah, and then everybody be like, we're just not that afraid of you. There's been 1,500 vigilantes in this city while you were growing up. All right, we move on now. Was that funny? Thank you, I appreciate that. The reason you have kids is because they laugh at all your jokes. And now we move on. Okay, that's a little much. You're hamming it up a bit much. You know what I mean? Like you're laying it on really thick. Now we move on to best overall show. Excuse me, guys. The nominees are Steven Universe, Jessica Jones, The Man in the High Castle, Daredevil, and Outlander. And the winner, according to our audience, is Daredevil. It's exciting.
Nice.
With 43%. Man in the High Castle got 36%, which really surprises me because the earlier the category made it look. Universe got 6%, and Outlander got 1.5%, and 4 people voted for that. So that means that you had more than one person that had seen Outlander voting here, Lo. So that's exciting for you. Rasco, what would you have said?
I would have said Daredevil.
Jason, what did you say was the best overall show?
The Flash.
The Flash. And we chose.
Run.
And we chose Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I am to be honest with you guys. I don't know how that happened because it was like this: Daredevil versus Jessica Jones in the superhero category. But then we get down to best overall show, and it's not even fighting that hard with the other shows. It's just Jessica Jones over Daredevil. I don't know how that happened. It makes 0 sense.
Zero Daredevil.
Daredevil certainly was more superhero-y, so maybe that's how it won that category. Whereas like Jessica Jones kind of was on the outskirts of that.
Matt Murdock's just better. Let's face it.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, man.
Disagree.
Those shows are like this for me, Dan. I can't pick one over the other right now. I love them both.
Yeah.
I think Daredevil might be kind of more my thing to watch, sort of, but then the psychological thriller element of Jessica Jones, that's also very much in my wheelhouse. So
Yeah, I like Jessica Jones from what I've seen of it. I haven't finished it yet, but I don't know. I'm just biased towards Matt Murdock because he's always been one of my favorite characters, so that's what I was going to vote for.
well, you can have an opinion when you finish the show.
Yeah,
then you're allowed to have an opinion, then.
but Matt Murdock, nobody's going to beat him.
Folks, that is our entire award show. We have gone through all of it. Yay!
Yay!
Matt Murdock would like to thank Dan Torrey.
Yes, well, I will accept his thanks.
Would anybody like to share any thoughts about the about pop culture at large in 2015 and how you felt last year went down? Was it a better year than the year before? Do you even remember 2014? Have you slept since then?
Hi, I'm Dread.
You stop that. Anybody have any last thoughts on last year before we move on to a few questions?
I think it was. I think 2015 was a great year for TV, film, and comics. Particularly TV. I think TV. We watched it grow with the internet. Networks or channels. I forgot what we call that yet. But the Netflix channels. Marvel did a brilliant job, I think, building their Netflix corner of their cinematic universe. Animation, I think, was terrific. We talked about Steven Universe and Star Wars Rebels, but I mean, holy crap, there's some really great shows this year. I mean, Gravity Falls was amazing. Adventure Time. Disney has some other good stuff, and Nickelodeon too. Yeah, this has been. We already talked about films, how good films were. But yeah, I was very happy with the stuff that came out this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of
The
stuff
thing
that
I was surprised by is
there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get a chance to watch that I want to watch. Like I want to at some point watch the first season of Better Call Saul because I love Breaking Bad, and you know that's one of the things I can talk about off the top of my head. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff on now.
there are other shows, yeah, that I watched that didn't really come up. It gets absurd and is ridiculous, but I still enjoy Bates Motel quite a bit. And Better Call Saul I lost interest in. I wasn't real happy with how that started. I heard it got a lot better, but I didn't keep watching it, so I'll probably binge it at some point. But the big thing I was kind of surprised by with 2015 was that it looked at first like that was going to be the biggest year ever because Batman vs. Superman was originally supposed to be that year. When that didn't happen, suddenly 2016 looked like the biggest year ever with a lot of the stuff that's coming out this year. And also I should mention that the big surprise was that Jurassic World broke records. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I was kind of surprised that it was a fun movie in general. Like I didn't really expect much from that movie at all.
Yeah, I really liked it. Steve didn't.
No, I didn't. I mean, I guess the only dissenting opinion I have is I didn't think film was that great this year. I thought there was a lot more disappointments than overall great films. Like nothing I saw this year is as good as Whiplash. My top 20 of last year I think is mostly better than anything I saw this year. Or 2015. I mean, my top 20 of 2014 I think is better than most of what I saw in 2015. But TV-wise, there's lots of good stuff. Like we didn't get to talk about Rick and Morty, but that show was fantastic.
Oh yeah, Rick and Morty. I forgot about that.
The second season of that was just absolutely brilliant. And then of course Steven Universe, and I love Regular Show. The Regular Show movie was really good. Dragon Ball Z's back with Dragon Ball Super, and I love that. Video games were pretty good so far. It was an okay year altogether. I just didn't think movies were as good as it was in 2014.
Yeah, video games are awesome. I was really impressed with a lot of the games that were released. I mean, Nintendo's my favorite game company, and they put out like a couple really good games, and then things that were either mediocre or bad. But on the multi-platform side and exclusives on the other two consoles, I had a great time with video games. A lot of good stuff.
Do you guys anticipate this year being a bigger year and a better year?
For comic book movies, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I hope is this year can grow from last year. Like, you know, take what we saw built creatively in all these different forms of media and, you know, kind of build on top of them. Because I think I think what the good films this year, the good films in 2015, I think were smart, and I think, you know, people responded to them that way, as well as TV shows. You know, it's amazing to me. Like just a few years ago, wasn't TV just like a desert of crappy reality shows? And now look at all these look at all these brilliant shows. Like now, you know, in live action shows, TV movies, miniseries, animated series, it's a great time. So I just hope it just keeps continuing.
Yeah, we've had this renaissance of scripted stuff, partially because of new formats. I mean, new places to put shows. Internet shows being able to shoot a whole season at once without fear of cancellation and that kind of thing. It's creating, it's allowing people to be creative in a way that they couldn't before, and the driving force is different. And the driving force is more what it ought to be to foster creativity. And you're seeing a lot of really interesting things in independent circles and you know, shrinking the divide between independent and mainstream and all of that. So it's a really fascinating time both in film and television. A few years ago, we didn't even think to have a TV category for our award show in Geekvolution, and now it's the category that people were most interested in. So, and again, a lot of that's because you know, Arrow started the bull rolling, I can't talk today. The ball rolling for all the superhero shows that we have now. And I also want to mention, because I was thinking about this yesterday. Last night, Duke and I recorded our dreaded commentary on Catwoman of all things, and You don't know who Duke is?
No.
I'll have to make sure that you talk to Duke. Duke and I did a commentary on Catwoman, and I was thinking we were talking a lot about how it was unfortunate that the female superhero-led movies of the mid 2000s were some of the worst movies that came out. And have you noticed that that right now we have like 4 female-led superhero TV shows, and they're all good. They're all good, and 3 of them are we're touting up as some of the best things that are on. So I mean that's really cool. Like Steve and I keep every week saying iZombie is the best written thing that we're watching on weekly television. Then Jessica Jones is wonderful, Agent Carter is wonderful, and of the mainstream superhero weekly network shows, Supergirl is for me right in the middle. It is as good as Flash or Arrow, better than Arrow by a lot, but it's right around Flash quality, I think. So so I think that's really interesting that we've got this cool quality domination going on with the female superhero-led shows. Hasn't happened with movies yet, but we've got some stuff happening down the road, and I'm very excited about Wonder Woman. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, 1 second. Go ahead, Manos.
Oh, I've just in terms of that regard about female heroes and female leads. I think television has been kind of ahead of the grain on film in terms of gender. We've seen more interesting female characters. Forget just superhero stuff, but you see a lot of actresses who were doing film a few years ago are now doing more interesting stuff on TV, or going back and forth because they want to do something more interesting. They do something on TV, and TV has been kind of leading the charge on that. And yeah, as far as that's concerned, I do have hope for the future because let's look at there's been the Hunger Games, the new Star Wars film. You can laugh, but Frozen I think was a big piece of evidence that people will see female-led stuff. The same old arguments they never held up in the first place, but they're being less touted seriously than they used to be.
Well, and I find myself not to talk a lot about the gender issue, but more just that there are some great female superheroes and characters in comics that haven't gotten their due yet for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And just, I'm just talking exclusively comics. It's nice to see some of these characters come to life and be some of the better shows that we have. That people aren't. For whatever reason, we're just making better. There's more quality stuff right now in general.
Yeah, I 100% agree with.
Rasco, has anybody asked us anything for the open forum? We'll do that for a few minutes before we say goodnight.
Okay, this is from Masked Sci-Fi Fan. Hey guys, what are your thoughts and hopes for Rogue One?
It's good.
I will say this about every Star Wars movie that has the possibility of having Boba Fett in it. I hope Boba Fett is in that movie.
and does something. That would be nice.
I'm interested to hear. I don't know if it was just today or what, but I found out today. I don't know if this is new news or what, but that both Vader and Tarkin are supposed to be in that movie. And I guess it doesn't entirely surprise me, but Tarkin being recast is going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting.
Yeah.
If that's actually happening, they should be. They would be major players in that. I mean, that would be the opposition. They should be in that movie.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because the Tarkin novel is is supposed to tie into the new canon. Is all about Tarkin and Vader's relationship, and it's set during the time that the original Death Star is being built, and Tarkin is sort of the guy that oversees that entire project. So, I mean, they would have to be intimately involved with a movie about the plans to make it for sure. So
there could be some big character stuff in that movie for him, Dan. I mean, I guess the big question is going to be: is it going to exclusively, being a heist movie, is going to be pretty much exclusively following our hero characters and then they're in the background, or is it the kind of movie where we jump back and forth between our heroes and villains?
I think we're liable to jump around. I kind of hope Tarkin is the main antagonist of the movie because the novel about him is brilliant. It really fleshed out that character in a big way, and I would really like to see that characterization of him in that movie in a big way. And I wouldn't be surprised because they made a big deal about him coming into Rebels, and he's kind of a big player in that, and they put out a novel about him. I have a feeling Lucasfilm has plans for him moving forward as a character, at least maybe in that movie, if not further down the line.
It's so neat we're jumping around the eras like that. I think Vader is going to be a big coup. Like it'll be the first time that he's gotten to have any sort of screen time in a movie since, the 6. And even though it's a flashback movie and stuff, it's not going to matter. It's going to be a big thing. Like I think that movie will make more money than anybody realizes just because he's in it.
Oh yeah, I mean, can you imagine the marketing posters for that? It's just going to be Darth Vader's helmet, Star Wars Rogue One. Go see it.
That's all you got to put on it, and people won't care if he's only in it for 15 minutes. It won't matter.
Yeah.
He's there, and it'll be James Earl Jones voicing him, and it will not do Force Awakens numbers. It'll do Iron Man 3 numbers. It'll be like that.
It'll do very well. I mean, Darth Vader is sci-fi Batman, so I mean, it'll definitely be huge.
Yeah, which is really weird, right? Like, people have a reason to love Batman and want to be like Batman, but, like, Vader is that popular, and nobody wants to be like Vader. Well, maybe they do.
I don't know. I've been bewildered by that, in fact. But who would you... I suppose we'd have to recast Tarkin, so who would you go for?
See, you know me, I don't do the fan casting thing really
I'm not good at casting Manos. Who would you choose? Because you know...
Yeah, you're great at that. What older English actor would you pick? Because it has to be an older English actor.
I was thinking Peter Capaldi might be...
See, that's what I was going to say. Damn, I wish I'd answered you now, because I'm always terrible at that, and that's what I was going to say. Gosh darn it.
My first instinct was Ian McKellen, who I think would also be good, but I think Peter Capaldi reminds me more of Peter Cushing, and I think that's kind of what they should look for in casting, like someone who at least kind of is in that kind of style of character type. And Peter Cushing was very specific. And hey, they both played Doctor Who, so that's a good choice.
Yeah, that's who it should be. I don't know how tall he is. Peter Cushing was really tall.
True, that I don't know.
I think.
Yeah, because his...
I don't think he necessarily needs to be gigantic, because they always shot him to look shorter than Vader. So, I mean, as long as he's shorter than Darth Vader to some degree, I think it'll be fine.
And it's easy to make Darth Vader as big as you want him to be. You just cast whoever in that suit you want to be.
Exactly, right.
I mean, I don't know who they'll go with. I don't know if it'll be like, because the guy that was in the suit before, is he still around?
Yeah.
I think he still does the convention circuit. Yeah.
Because I don't know if they could go. They could do that. I don't know if they will. Since they're still using Peter, what's his name, for Chewbacca for the scenes they can do. They had to get another guy to be Chewbacca in the more in the more physical scenes, but they still brought him in as often as they could, and he was there for every scene.
Yeah, Peter Mayhew's been kind of sick lately, so it's been difficult for him to do some of the more action-y stuff. Like, I think he was in a wheelchair. It was really important.
Yeah.
I can't believe he can still wear the suit. He walks with a cane.
Yeah,
I saw him at Ring of Fire convention in Virginia Beach last year, and yeah, he was in a wheelchair the entire time.
Yeah, he has been. How about some more questions, Rasco?
This is from Joel Davis. Could this be the year that makes or breaks superhero films, and tell people if Marvel is the only studio that can make good ones apart from the X-Men films?
Well, clearly, I mean, it is the proving ground for DC. I'll be real surprised if both those movies don't perform really well, though. But, like, just regardless, I think they'll do fine. Now, if people hate them both, after that, that'll be a thing. But I don't think this will be the year where people are like, yeah, I'm done with superhero films. Like, I think this is like they might be the apex. We might see something of a downward thing after that if DC is really awful. I'm not anticipating the DC movies to be really awful, so I guess it just depends on what they ultimately end up looking like. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a proving ground for DC, and Civil War looks great, but the one I'm the most excited about is Doctor Strange, just because I love that character so much. It's going to be interesting to see if Marvel can successfully create another hit with a character that's been out of their usual wheelhouse thus far. That's what I'm the most interested in, just
I'm really
movie-wise
excited for
and
the
how it
Dead.
performs at the box office,
See, the thing is, the thing is, Dan, I think that they're safe there only because they got Cumberbatch. Like, he's so hot right now. I think, like, people that know nothing about Doctor Strange, it's going to get a lot of hype just because it's Cumberbatch. I think there are other characters they're doing after that that are kind of a bigger question as to whether or not they'll get. Like, I don't know if they'll do very well with Inhumans. I don't know if they'll do very well with Captain Marvel. But they got Cumberbatch. They're fine with Doctor Strange.
I think there's a danger.
Yeah, that's possible. We'll see. I mean, I'm interested to see like how much of a name Cumberbatch will bring to that, because I mean he's in a lot of things that are really popular, but I don't know if people go to movies just because of him. I don't know.
I think they do.
They do.
I think they would.
A lot of commercial movies, but he's also a lot of Academy Award style movies, like The Imitation Game just last year, and Sherlock obviously is a big fan favorite, and he just had a special at the 1st of January that everyone watched mostly because of him.
Yeah, DM, why do you think Hollywood has this weird idea that Cumberbatch is versatile just because he has a cool voice? Like, he's been cast for things that he doesn't really work real well with, just because people know he's a draw and they'll go see him. Like,
he's done a lot of biopics. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I think Marvel's sort of safe just because of that. I don't know if it'll do, Ant-Man numbers or Guardians numbers. I don't know, but I mean, it'll more than make its money back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But anyway, but does anybody else want to answer the question more?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on DC because there's a lot more banking on this film, and there's also pressure with competing with Marvel too. Where Marvel didn't have to deal with that so much when they started making their first few films. They didn't have to worry about competing with DC or living up to anybody else's expectations. DC sort of has to do that, which is part of the problem with taking so long to do what they're doing. And I still think, look, Batman, Superman, that's going to get you 200 million. Easy. But will it be a popular 200 million? I think we've discussed this before, where the last couple of their major films, Man of Steel and Dark Knight Rises, were both successful, but they were both polarizing films at the same time. I think it's very important that this film, excuse me, sorry, I had a couple things to look on. I hope these films, are successful creatively and critically, and as well as in the box office. I think there is a portion of people out there who are done with superhero films. I occasionally hear these people complain. I don't take these people seriously because I don't agree. But there are some people out there. I don't think it's to the extent of hurting these films. So I think we're going to have another good year.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that because the big question is, are we making so many of these that people are going to have to pick and choose really, really hard, and that does certainly factor into it in DC, having to go up against Marvel, and will people take their hard-earned money and say, I'm going to go see these movies over these movies because there's 8 this year and I just don't have the money to go to the theater that many times. As long for folks that go to movies regularly, as long as Marvel and DC are both offering different sorts of experiences, I think they'll both be fine. What would have worried me would be if DC seemed like they were copying Marvel, and from what we've seen so far, just from what little we understand of the 2 movies we got this year from advertising, it sure looks like they're trying to give us something way more stylistic than what Marvel is doing, and it looks like we very well might get what I was hoping for, which is a sort of more realistic looking but still tongue-in-cheek Marvel universe and a more stylistic, heightened, not grounded at all DC universe. And if both of them continue to put out good movies, I think that just like with comics, there's just plenty of audience for both of those things. And that's what I have to say about that. Does anybody else want to weigh in before we get on? One more question before we go.
Okay, by the way, I just wanted to point this out. Joel Davis put that in the comments that Tarkin isn't being recast, he's being CGI'd, and old video clips are being used for the voice.
Oh, that means he's weird. Dan, that means we're not going to get much of him at all.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate.
So he's going to be basically like Clinton in the movie Contact.
Yeah, or Jor-El in Superman Returns.
Do we know if that's officially confirmed? Because that sounds really.
I've seen like a bunch of people in the chat say it, so I don't know, but I've just seen a bunch of people.
Well, our source is people in the chat, but that means that they're all getting it from someplace, and I guess we'll see if that ends up being.
That just surprised me because Abrams made such a big deal about using practical effects as much as possible to make it feel like Star Wars, and I figured they'd continue that tradition with the newer movies moving forward, but I don't know.
I will say this: if they want to use audio clips for his dialogue, they have a lot to choose from. Peter Cushing was in about 5 billion movies, so you know they might be able to pick that up.
I just can't like making a coherent performance out of like random Peter Cushing movie quotes. Like it just doesn't sound like a good idea to me at all.
Dan, if they're doing that, I'm telling you now, man, I don't see them putting him in the movie very much at all. Like if they're doing that, he's gonna be there as much as they need him to establish what's going on. And the thing is, it's probably them thinking that they're being more authentic by doing it that way. Like we don't want to recast people and stuff because we want to make it feel like authentic Star Wars. People
But they're recasting Han Solo in another movie. That's weird.
Yeah. But is he going to be isn't he a younger Han Solo? I just like
but
he's a younger Han Solo.
If they're okay with recasting Han Solo, what's the issue with recasting Grand Moff Tarkin?
Well, I think the difference is that you often recast. But I think that but
they don't make sense to me.
But my guess, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, my guess is what they would tell you, Dan, is that you often recast when you have somebody playing a really young version of a character versus a much older version of a character, whereas Peter Cushing, it's that same time period, so they want him to look exactly the same. Just recast him and get a similar performance. No one's going to care. Do that. But I know what they're thinking. They're wrong if that's what they're doing, but that's I don't know. That's
I just don't follow their logic. It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I think you could have recast Jarrell in Superman Returns too, and it would have been okay. But anyway, okay, Rascal, give us one more.
This is from Cop Sci Theater Guy. Besides Rogue One, do any other anthology films excite you? Will Han Solo/Boba Fett spin-off really work?
Okay, we're gonna do one more question after this because we got to do something that's not Star Wars related, beyond the DC Marvel thing that we did. But unless everyone's only talking about Star Wars, in which case we'll see you later, folks. We can answer that, sure. I mean, I'm excited. I'm potentially excited about all of them.
Do we know about any others besides Han Solo and Boba Fett?
I think.
The Boba Fett one hasn't been officially confirmed.
Okay.
The only one we know about officially is Han Solo at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, not super excited for a Han Solo movie. Just not because I don't want him to be recast or anything. That just doesn't excite me as much as like other things that I think we could see, like Rogue One. I'm like almost as excited for Rogue One as I am for Episode 8, honestly.
Here.
Han Solo, awesome. They're going to have to show something that really gets me excited about that, and like a trailer or something. I'm not worried about like recasting or anything like that. I honestly, there's been a lot of rumors about like Obi-Wan, like an Obi-Wan Solo movie. I'd be more excited about that, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, great.
Well, I know you and McGregor would appreciate that.
Yeah, and like, there's so much Obi-Wan. There's this big chunk of Obi-Wan history that we just don't know anything about between Episode 3 and Episode 4. You could do something in there, and that could be really interesting, I think.
You could do some Clone Wars stuff. Sorry, what, Dan?
I don't see Obi-Wan having a big intergalactic scale adventure on Tatooine as a hermit between episodes 3.
I don't either. What I was going to say is
if certain spoilery things happen that I think will happen that I don't want to spoil for people that maybe haven't seen Star Wars. But I mean, if we find something out about his lineage, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't be a between 3 and 4 thing, right? Like it'd be a. Well, I guess it could.
Yeah, it would have to be between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Well, the Clone Wars was such a long time. It could take place even between like 2 and 3.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like what I would like to see would be some doing some stuff like pre-Clone Wars or even some during Clone Wars stuff to flesh out some of that and give us some characterization that we didn't get in the prequels. Like I think maybe you wouldn't go with Ewan McGregor because he's older now, but like I think the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan movie could be really cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
I'd like to see something like that. I'd like to flesh out Qui-Gon. He was a neat actor, and as everybody knows, Liam Neeson doesn't age.
That's true.
I mean, if we're gonna make a prequel that goes even further, I'd love to get like a young Count Dooku, young Qui-Gon Jinn movie. Like, because Count Dooku has one of the most fascinating falls from the Jedi in the expanded universe. I'd love to get more of that explored.
Hmm.
And with actors that don't age, you just have Qui-Gon Jinn being trained. You go even farther back than that. You have Qui-Gon Jinn trained by Morgan Freeman. See, and
I mean, I think the dream for every Star Wars fan, at least from people I've talked to, is to get a movie set in the Old Republic period, way before any of the movies take place.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because
That's definitely what I would want to see.
yeah, because the Knights of the Old Republic games are like one of the best Star Wars things that's ever been made, and just seeing a movie adaptation of those would be fantastic. Fleshing out the canon, because Revan supposedly shows up in Clone Wars, and I don't know if the game's in canon technically anymore, but Revan exists, so it would be cool to have a movie about that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And Darth Bane.
He's much after. Yeah, a Darth Vader movie would be cool too.
But I still say Darth Bane should be played by Tom Hardy and just an entirely different performance. let's get one more Rasco that's not about Star Wars.
Okay, this is from William Parcell. What X-Men solo films do you want to see? I want a Nightcrawler film. That's what William Parcell said.
I think that'd be good. Yeah. I'm glad. I mean, it's Deadpool, but I'm glad we're getting something that's not solo Wolverine that still has things to do with the X-Men. Yeah. I don't right off. I'm not sure who else you'd do that would get super stoked about.
I think you could maybe, and this is like not very likely to happen, but you could maybe do a movie about like Bishop and stuff like in the future, not just solely about Bishop, but you could do like future X-Men characters in that like X-Men Days of Future Past apocalyptic future maybe. That could be cool.
That could be cool.
Is that Gambit film still possible?
Yeah, it's still happening.
I would very
What's
much like
funny
to see
about that
Gambit
is
film.
the date still says this year. It's obviously not going to happen. But no, I think they finally found a director for that. That's in some sort of pre-production, I think.
All right, you have 2 weeks to make this film. Go.
Get it, Roger Corman making X-Men. Go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens in Apocalypse. But as big as Michael Fassbender's getting, I'm surprised they haven't greenlit a Magneto movie yet.
Yeah.
Although the X-Men films have kind of been Magneto movies, he's one of the leads.
Yeah, but I think people would go to a Magneto movie. They tried to make the Origins one before.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it yet.
Once we see this last of the prequel, I guess what's sort of a prequel trilogy at this point, a prequel but yet soft rebooted in the middle, X-Men trilogy set in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I never in my life thought I would say all those words together.
Being a geek gets complicated sometimes.
We might get more of it. I love that that's been reflected on film, as complicated as it has been in like Chris Claremont comics. I think we might start wanting to see more solo films from characters that we haven't seen revamped yet, because it's hard for me to. I hesitate to say Cyclops or Storm or any of these characters before we've seen the new versions of them. So I mean, I think there will be a lot more talk about solo X-Men films once we have made more characters out of people that have sort of been cardboard cutouts in the past.
I mean, it'd be fun if they could flesh out some of the side characters from X3 and do an X Factor movie led with Jamie Madrox. It's like, that could be a lot of fun to land the Peter David stuff and do like your noir detective X-Men movie.
Well, there's still a lot of talk about X Factor. I mean, I think that's still supposed to happen, or X Factor.
I know there's X4.
X4.
I'm not sure about X Factor.
X4, yeah.
Are we also getting X-Men TV shows?
We don't know about that yet. That's been very rumor territory.
No, those been confirmed. There's even cast someone for the Legion show.
What? Really? Well, I'm done saying things. Apparently, I know nothing. All right, well, folks, we've been at this almost 2 hours. I think we're going to go ahead and bid you folks a fond farewell. Thanks a lot for watching the Primetime Crisis Awards for 2015 for last year. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week at 8 p.m. Central Time talking about all the comic book and superhero shows that came out this week. And until then, I am Captain Logan, and I want to say thanks, as always, to my wonderful and lovely panel. I thank you guys for all being here. I sure appreciate you, and this was a lot of fun, as always, and really interesting to compare our votes to the audiences. I will, so we will bid you a fond farewell, and we'll see you again, me, shortly, on Geekvolution. And also, real quick before I go, would you stop? I want to say once again, welcoming Dan more regularly on the channel to Geeks Not Nerds and Recommends. He is taking Vince's place now that Vince has left the channel. So thanks a lot, Dan, for doing that. And,
hey, no worries, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure so far.
Good job for your first week.
I'm sure it'll get
people have embraced you with open arms, Dan, and I sure appreciate you doing
That's
it.
Awesome.
We will
I
see
thank
you.
everyone for letting me fill his shoes and accepting and all that stuff, because you can't really replace Vince. He's such a good guy, good personality, you know.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's impossible. But we got Dan, and Dan's
That's
great.
true. Yes.
Folks, we will see you again next Sunday night. I'm Captain Logan. This was Dan Torrey.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
The Real Manos.
Goodbye, everybody.
Steve Baxi.
See you, everyone.
The Curious Low.
See you next week, guys.
Our official chat moderator Jackson Rasco.
Hashtag Rasco Rebellion.
There's Jason.
And me. Bye bye bye. Bye 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 bye.
And I'm Captain Logan saying good night. Good night.